Hello everyone, welcome to Educare 247. This is the second lecture of Economy and Finance MCQs. This series is very much useful for RBI Grade B and SEBI Grade A 2020-21 examination. With the help of this series, you can revise all the economy and finance related current affairs from August to January. We have taken the news from Business Standard, Business Line, Economic Times and LiveMint. This series will help you to solve all the finance and economy related questions in the examination. The first question is, monetization of deficit is best explained by which of the following? The answer is printing more money by RBI to give credit to the government. Let us understand the term monetization of deficit. Basically, it means printing more money to help government. When RBI buys government securities directly from the primary market to fund the government expenses. Mark the word, when RBI buys securities from the primary market, not the secondary market. Basically, RBI helps the central government in its borrowing program with the help of this tool. That is the overall objective of this tool. It increases overall RBI net credit to the central government. This tool was practiced till 1997, but at the time of COVID, RBI is still thinking, can we use this tool to help the government? There is another concept called helicopter money. That is also very important term. It is unconventional monetary policy aimed at bringing economy back on track. Basically, RBI print more money and give to the public with the help of government. Government basically supplies more money to the public so that our demand will rise and overall economy will come on the track. So this is very important concept. Please remember that it can be asked in your examination because at this time there is lots of discussion about monetization of deficit and helicopter money. The next question is, which of the following is not the feature of additional tier 1 bond? The answer is, minimum allotment of these bonds is set at 5 crore. This is wrong. Basically, it is set at 1 crore, not the 5 crore. Let us understand the additional tier 1 bond. It is unsecured high risk bonds that banks issue to increase their core capital base to meet the Basel III norms. Bank can skip paying interest on these bonds if the capital ratio fell below a certain threshold limit. So basically it is high risk in nature. Investors may not get their interest payment if the capital ratio fell below a certain threshold limit. So SEBI has tightened the regulations related to these bonds. Because it is high risk in nature, that's why SEBI has made it less accessible to retail investors. Banks can issue these bonds only through electoral platform and only to institutional investors. And the minimum allotment for these bonds is 1 crore. RBI has absolute power related to these bonds. They can direct banks to withdraw the outstanding of additional tier 1 bonds, and they can direct banks to stop paying the interest payment of these bonds. So these are high risk instruments used by banks to increase their core capital base to meet the Basel III norms. This is very important concept and this is very much in news because of Yes Bank's additional tier 1 bonds. So remember that it can be asked during the examination. The next question is, what is the initial authorized capital of New Development Bank? The answer is $100 billion. This is formally known as BRICS Development Bank and it is a multilateral development bank established by BRICS countries. According to the agreement of these banks, the bank will support public and private projects through loan guarantee or equity participation or other financial instruments. So basically, these banks will provide loan to public and private projects either through loan guarantee or through equity participation. This bank will also collaborate with different international organizations to finance the project and also provide the technical support for the project. That is very important. It was established in 2014 when 6th BRICS summit happened at Brazil, Fortaleza, that is the city of Brazil, and initial authorized capital for the bank is $100 billion. One important thing, all the country has one vote under this bank and there is no veto power given to any country when it comes to the functioning of this bank. So this is very important bank for the development of BRICS country. The next question is International Financial Services Centers Authority works under which of the following department? The answer is Department of Economic Affairs. It is a statutory body established in 2020 and it works under Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Finance. The headquarters of this body is at Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Basically, it is a unified regulator and it has power like RBI, SEBI, IRDAI and PFRDA in terms of financial services and products located in the International Financial Services Center. So that is very important body. It will regulate, it has power like all the regulatory bodies when it comes to International Financial Service Center, financial products and financial services. It has a chairman and it will have a member from RBI, RDI, SEBI, PFRDA and it will have two members from the central government and they will be full-time and part-time member. So this is very important body established in 2020. So questions related to this can be asked in your examination. The next question is in India, the sectors where FDI is not allowed are four options are given. You have to choose in which sector the FDI is not allowed. The answer is 1 and 2. In investment in chit funds and in tobacco industry, FDI is not allowed in India. These are the sectors where FDI is not allowed. That is atomic energy generation, tobacco industry, lotteries, investment in chit fund, agricultural or plantation activities. But in something like horticulture, fisheries, tea plantation, FDI is allowed. So that is important thing. Housing and real estate except township and commercial projects, FDI is not allowed. Trading of transferable development right, under this also FDI is not allowed. And any gambling and betting business, FDI is not allowed. So these are the things, sectors where FDI is not allowed. Please remember that it can be asked in your examination. The next question is, which of the following sectors attracted the highest FDI in the year 2019-20? Answer is services. According to the recent data published by Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, service sector attracted the highest FDI during the year 2019-20 and that is 7.85 billion. Computer and software industry attracted 7.67 billions. Telecommunication industry attracted 4.44 billion. Automobile industry attracted 2.82 billion. Other figures you can see, construction is 2 billion. Foreign direct investments increases 13% during the year 2019-20 and it is $49.97 billion. In the year 2018-19 it was $44.36 billion. The highest FDI came from the Singapore, that is 14.67 billions, and the second highest came from Mauritius, that is 8.24 billion. These figures are very important. Questions can be framed on those figures. Maharashtra generated the highest share of FDI and that is 30% of the total FDI, that is 7.26 billions. Please remember these important points. Karnataka and Delhi attracted 18% and 17% share of FDI respectively. This figure is also very important. Please remember all the important data. I believe 5 to 6 questions can be framed with the help of these data. The next question is, Singapore's Temasek-like model sometimes seen in the news is related to which of the following? The answer is disinvestment program. Economic Survey 2019-20 talked about this model and this survey has backed the government's move to aggressively privatize central government public sector enterprises through disinvestment of government stake. So it is very important. The economic survey has said that it will create a multiplier effect on improving efficiency and profitability of divested company. It will also unlock the capital which can be used for public infrastructure building. So that is very important point. Survey has cited the case of Temasek Holding Company in Singapore and what they have done, they have successfully maximized the government stakes in CPSEs. How it has been done? Basically, CPSEs is a separate corporate entity and government transfer their share to these entity and this entity will have independent board. Government will have no control on that, and this will create a professionalism and autonomy system for disinvestment program. It can be used for our PSUs also, what survey has claimed. So this model was in discussion during the time of COVID. When government need the finances, they have to disinvest their shares of these public sector entities. So this is very important concept. Please remember all the important points. The next question is, which of the following is a leverage ratio? The answer is debt equity ratio. Reserve Bank of India has relaxed the leverage ratio for banks to help them to boost their lending activities. Currently, it is 4% for domestic systematically important banks and 3.5% for other banks. So it is very important point. It is effective from October 1st, 2019. Basically, bank has to disclose capital measures, exposure measures along with leverage ratio on quarterly basis, but they have to meet the minimum leverage ratio requirement all the time. It's not they have to meet at quarterly basis. They have to meet all the time, but they have to disclose the number on quarterly basis. Leverage ratio is defined as capital measure divided by exposure measure. It is expressed in terms of percentage. The capital measures is tier 1 capital, and the exposure measure is both on balance sheet exposure and off balance sheet items. That is very important point. While looking leverage ratio, one can say that how much capital has come from debt or loans, and it also talks about company's ability to meet its financial obligation. So that is very important ratio when it comes to company's finances or company's financial health. The next question is, what is India's position in terms of crude oil import? The answer is third. India is the world third largest crude oil importer. OPEC meets 78% of India's crude oil demand, 59% of LPG need, and 38% of LNG consumption. OPEC nation offers bigger discount on crude oil to Western economies in terms of, in comparison to Eastern economies. So that is an important point. Please remember that, and please remember India's ranking in terms of crude oil import. The next question is, participatory notes investments in Indian market is allowed in which of the following instruments? The answer is all of the above. 4 instruments are given, and in all these 4 instruments, participatory note investment is allowed. Let us understand the participatory note. Basically, it is issued by registered foreign portfolio investors to overseas investors who wants to participate in Indian stock market without registering themselves directly. So basically, these investors don't want to register themselves with Indian regulators, but they want to invest, so they can invest through P notes, participatory notes, and they can invest through either equity, debt, or hybrid securities or derivatives. So this is very important concept. Please remember that it can be asked in your examination. Hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed the video, like, share and comment and subscribe to our channel Educare 247. Thank you and happy learning.